because I have seen the growth from the teenager who joined the book club, the book fair, and today now publishing her own book. I am Suja, and I'm not the MC, so I'm going to turn that over to the MC so that she could welcome the poets. What we're going to have tonight, we're going to have a number of poets from around the world. We're going to read for 5 minutes. We have, what's the band? What's the good, right? The band. Yeah. Very good, very good. All right, so Madame MC, Miss Dr. Rhoda Arundel is going to lead us through this whole evening.
Good evening. Welcome. Bienvenue. Bonjour. Bienvenidos. A todos. Volume. You hear me now? Eric. Hear me? A little better. But I hear me. You good? All right. Good evening. Again. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Bienvenue. Bombini. Welcome. Yes, to St. Martin. Welcome, friends and family. Welcome, our dear authors from around the world. Our beloved St. Martin audience and lovers of book throughout the island in general. And based on what we're seeing tonight, we're seeing an increasing audience at our literary evening, and so we appreciate that. This evening's highlight, I think you heard one of the highlights a while ago. It's a newly established band called Light. Yes, give them a round of applause. Light. Organized, put together by the leading choreographer, Miss Clara Reyes. Yes. Who's also head of our Department of Culture in the southern part of our island. So please give them another real St. Martin round of applause. And we're moving right along straight into the recitals for this evening. And each author will give you about 5 minutes to read from their selection. They'll choose whatever parts of their published work that they'd like to share with you. I will be reminding you, dear fellow beloved artists, when your 5 minutes are up. So if you see me approaching the stage, it means that your time has come to go. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our very first reader for this evening. Someone that's very dear to my heart. My big brother, Fabian Alekunle Badijo, who's author of, author of fantasies, love-making poems. Get yourself a copy if you haven't already. And I don't know what he's going to be reading from, but I'm hoping it's going to be from fantasies. And so, first reader of this evening is Fabian Badijo. Welcome.
Good night, everybody. I'm a little bit taken aback by this, but let me start off by congratulating Tamara on the publication of her first volume of poetry after the storm. And can you hear me? No, you can't? Is it better now? Okay, let's go straight into this. Rhoda, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is not from fantasies. Actually, we're going to start with a prayer. There's a poem I wrote just not too long ago to mark the world movement of artists who are against building walls. So this is called Prayer for a World Without Walls. We come before you, leaders of this imperfect world. We call on the spirit of our forefathers, long gone before us, to decree and declare before the living and the dead, before the whole universe, that there should be no walls in our minds, nor in our hearts, so that we may live in brotherhood and peace. No walls in our skies, so that the condor and the gold rest, the eagle and the egret, and the pelican and the hummingbird can fill their wings with the elevating wind of freedom. We decree and declare right here, right now, that there should be no walls in our rivers, no walls in our seas, no walls in our oceans, so that the trout and the catfish, the snapper and the grouper, and the shark and the whale may swim free in every season, without poison, without nets. And where there may be walls, from Ceuta to El Paso, from the West Bank to Arizona, from Fortress Europe to Gaza, and from the peace walls of Ireland to the Great Wall of Saudi Arabia, from North Korea to Western Sahara, from Baghdad to South Africa, for the snakes of fire devour humans, the walls of bigotry dehumanize all. We therefore blow our trumpets and chant in unison with the rest of humanity that they will all come tumbling down like the walls of Jericho, like the ignominious wall of Berlin, so that we may share this earth in peace like we do in this kind of paradise, without borders, without fences, in secular world without walls. Amen. Asher. I don't know if I have time for a second one, but this one is one I'm sure is going to surprise somebody here. It's dedicated to Rhoda.
Okay.
It's called 20 More Minutes. Well, we all just probably still coming over all the trauma that Irma and Maria brought upon us just about a couple of years ago. So this is 20 more minutes for Rhoda. It was a tug of war between 1,000 furies and a teenage boy over the kitchen door. Hold on, just a little longer, cried his mom. How much longer, he sobbed. 20 more minutes before the eye passes. 10 more minutes and we'll all be safe. 5 more minutes, then you can let go. We made it, cried the mother, a mop in her hand like a lance or flaming spear, ready to pierce the eye of the storm at the very first chance. The wind was suffocated to silence by his sweat. Now we can breathe again. In another 20 minutes or so, the mother started. Before she swings her tail at us like a wounded alligator refusing to die in this war. Thank you.
Thank you for staying under 5 minutes. And this reminds me, be careful what you tell your friends, especially if they're poets. Yes. I will call on the next reader, who will be Doris. Is she around? Dumaben from Guadeloupe. Yes. Is she? Is she around? Is Doris here? Oh, okay, good. All right. While we're waiting for her, maybe I should tell you a little about her. She is the author of 4 novels, and her adult teen books are known to raise eyebrows in her homeland because of the way that she writes about male-female relationships in the new words that she explores in the French language fiction. So give her another hand.
Hi everybody. I write science fictions book too, but I don't know why people only remember new romance and erotic books. I don't know why. So I'm going to read in French, as I'm from Guadeloupe. Ils s'étaient rencontrés ici, après tant d'années. Ce trottoir n'avait pas changé. Pourquoi aurait-il changé? De toute façon, à Paris, tout datait de plusieurs siècles. L'histoire s'écrivait sur les pavés, les murs, les immeubles, les arbres, les parcs. Métro Courcelles, boulevard de Courcelles, à droite, ces hautes grilles emprisonnant de la verdure indisciplinée, et à gauche, une série d'hôtels particuliers. Le luxe à la française. Il marchait lentement. Les feuilles mortes emportées par le vent virevoltaient sur le trottoir. Ce trottoir. Leur trottoir. Il s'en souviendrait toujours. Il relisait ses partitions avant son concert privé, décidant des morceaux à la dernière minute. Il aimait commencer par de la musique classique, enchaîner sur du jazz, glisser quelques airs contemporains entrelacés d'accords langoureux, et il finissait toujours par une de ses compositions personnelles pour que tout le monde se souvienne de lui. Finir en beauté. Il mettait toujours plus d'âme dans sa musique. Il fermait les yeux, ressentait l'instrument et se vidait comme pour un transfert. Il transférait son âme, sa substantifique moelle dans l'instrument, dans les notes, dans le son, pour que ce son s'insinue dans son public. Il aimait faire vibrer la corde sensible de son auditoire. Il souriait rien que d'y penser. Sans même relever la tête de ses gribouillages mélodiques, il avait fait un pas sur la gauche pour l'éviter. Elle avait fait un pas sur sa gauche. Puis, il avait fait un pas sur la droite en grommelant un pardon du bout des lèvres. Elle avait fait un pas sur sa droite. Puis il avait posé un pied à nouveau sur la gauche et enfin, il avait levé les yeux. Il était resté bloqué, suspendu entre la gauche et la droite, entre les deux, les jambes écartées, bien campées au sol. Elle avait souri, un sourire plein d'espièglerie. Ça y est, je ne peux plus parler. Plein d'espièglerie. Il aurait dû savoir à cet instant quelle serait sa perte. Mais au lieu de s'enfuir, loin de cette future torture douce amère, il avait souri, lui aussi. Bonne soirée.
I like this bunch. Next is Miss N.C. Marks of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. While she's approaching, I'll tell you a little about her. She's a writer from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I just told you that. She holds a Master's of Science in Environmental Management from the University of London and teaches geography at the St. Vincent Girls High School. And she's on her way to the mic, right? And her novel, Plastered and Pretty, was launched last evening at the opening.
Okay, good evening. The vibrating phone commanded her attention. It was Mr. Prophet. I need to see you. She sent him a sexy selfie. He sent an array of angry emojis. She sent a smiley face. He sent a lengthy paragraph proclaiming professionalism, proper work ethics, and her insubordination. She replied, okay. He demanded again to see her. She picked up her Coach handbag and car keys, left her desk, walked out of the building, got into her car, and drove a mere fraction of a kilometer to Department G. She entered the building and felt her skin being pierced by the eyes of those sitting behind the grey government desk. There was no response to her good afternoon endearment. The new receptionist, whose face and neck had completely different colors, was applying nail polish. When satisfied that her nails were perfect, Madam Receptionist rolled her eyes upwards, displaying contempt. I would like to see the minister. Do you have an appointment? Asked the receptionist in a confused and forced accent, which seemed like a cross between USA, Britain, and Jamaica. No, she replied. Well, the minister does not see anyone without an appointment, and his next available appointment is not until the middle of next month. So if you... She extracted her smartphone from her bag and typed a brief message, after which the receptionist's desk phone rang and a symphony of expletive-ridden phrases exploded in her ear. This seemed to have visibly shaken the poor thing, while magically migrating her authentic accent back to Hairuna. For in true Vincentian tongue, Madam Receptionist issued directions to the minister's office. Not like she needed them anyway. He looked her over like a hungry predator who hadn't eaten in months. Like the helpless prey, she submitted face down, Lily Pulitzer skirt on hips. He attacked her from behind, clawing, tearing, and devouring flesh while moaning passionately. Then he roared like King Lion of the Jungle after a mere 2 minutes and 23 seconds. He slumped down in his chair, panting as though having just finished a long-distance race. She wanted to burst out in boisterous laughter, but instead stroked his shiny gray hair, complained bitterly about Mr. Prophet, and demanded a transfer. I will look into it, darling, he promised. Anything else you need, my lovely? He asked. Your wife to drop dead on all your money, she wanted to blurt out. Instead, she smiled, kissed his sweaty forehead, and left. After all, she had what she needed in the form of a short video on her phone. Thank you.
I am not going to say me too. You just leave that right there. But thank God for cell phones. Yes. Our next reader will be Nicole Cage, our long-term sister of the book fair, who comes regularly to St. Mark now. She hails from Martinique, and she's a novelist, journalist, and Spanish teacher. And she's also a psychotherapist. So you see, yes, wow, a lot of talent in this one body.
Bonsoir. à toutes et à tous. Des pétales de nuages s'étalent sur l'herbe bleue du ciel. Les nuages éclaboussent les terres de leur douceur laiteuse et le bronze de ma peau en est plus lumineux. L'avion rieur aime à parcourir les nervures des lys immaculés jusqu'à leur calice. Il rit, les nuages défaits qui aussitôt se recomposent. L'avion, celui qui emmène loin du continent de tes bras, mon île orpheline. À mes oreilles, ta voix de basse. Elle dit qu'un sol pleureur a eu la singulière idée de croître là, dans l'arc de mes jambes. Tu dis encore que les branches orantes du sol cachent pudiquement la grotte aux mille délices. Dans mon île, ô mon prince, ne poussent pas les sols et encore moins pleureurs. Les arbres dansent et chantent, les bras levés en oraison, et qui sait quel dieu d'Afrique ils prient ce faisant. Mon amour, je suis de cette île offerte à ta soif de continent. Toi, mon Afrique, restituée, mon rêve, reconstitué, je suis cette île languide, réceptacle de tes larmes autant que de tes cris, je suis d'île, c'est-à-dire de toi, continent libre et vierge, à la mesure de ma faim de découvreuse, insatiable et gourmande. L'avion s'éloigne encore, les nuages se voilent de tristesse, leur éclat ne parvient plus qu'assourdi à mes paupières. Le bronze de ma peau perd un peu de son or. Je m'endors doucement. Mon âme chante mélancolie. Je t'emporte au creux du rêve. Just a blues, mama. Blues, just blues. Joie à chalvirer, on en met l'oubli, soleil, j'ai affamé la pote. Mille ennuis de Cavigny, colonisé, dernier morceau la terre, au tisel, soleil, tes 4 ans toujours. I blues, just blues. C'est just les pour un blues, monter, mon la vie. Anti-vent qu'a couru en bodage, la terre même. Anti-vent qu'a levé, wop, toute fleur en nuit. Anti-vent vont lever, fait chien, moi, fri, son âme. Anti-vent vont blues, qu'a just chaillé moins, on l'en met la peine blues. Parole qui trille bichet ou à la pote chez moi. Parole en pocodi, parole en pégin dit blues. Pour vitesse de l'eau en javessé, pour ça qui était moins, pour plairer encore blues. Pour ballon rifrener ou à la pote l'espoir mal papaye. Ah, c'est just là pour un blues. Pour l'espérance yo tué dans la rivière sans pour Timoun sans maman et pour femme sans homme. Car les draps, Freddy, on les cause à boire pour tout ça. Et pour toute question qui paye une réponse, pour tout ça aussi blues, just blues. De l'ennui de qu'a tombé. En l'air journée sans soleil, sans l'amour, la tête à tourner folle, l'esprit tu peut-être blues. Pour tout petit flin, tchète vont qu'à pas la virer, pour tout ça aussi blues, mais ni un jour pour soleil levé en cabane la nuit même, ni un jour pour parole aux abois, sorti danser à sous musique la vie, ni un jour pour fleur l'espérance, tiffé en béton armé souffrance, ah, ici ni la nuit pour blues, Just clap ou en blues monté, mon la vie, n'y en joue, ouais, n'y en joue. Pour l'esprit à corps libéré, nager dans la rivière la joie, 100 pièces blues, 100 pièces blues, 100 pièces blues. Sans pièces blues. Merci.
I'm just going to the next one. Mr. David Ambrose is a Grenadian educator and author. He holds a master's degree in education, curriculum and instruction from the University of Phoenix, and he is a communication studies lecturer at T.A. Marie-Galante Community College in Grenada. Mr. Ambrose.
Bonsoir à tous. Merci, madame. I am going to read from my book, That Time in Bogles, a Caribbean tale which takes place on Grenada's sister island of Carriacou, from the chapter called Stone Feast. A procession led by Tantan and Aunt Margaret carried containers of food from each pot to a specially prepared table inside the hall. That food was dedicated to the spirits of the ancestors and would remain untouched until the next day. Daniel almost cried as he saw bowls of provision, dumplings, roll rice, and various types of meat go to waste. But he didn't mind them leaving cuckoo for the spirits. Tantan gave a short speech, and then the feasting began. Daniel and the boys ate so much food that they could hardly walk after the third helping. All the guests ate as if they expected a famine to start in Carriacou the next day. A group of men parked themselves close to the pot of fish broth. The Grenadian boys sampled every type of meat and downed a glass of juice with each round of food. Kopai, Tanti does make the best lime juice, he commented. What she does put in that juice, boy? Elijah shrugged. It's just lime juice and brown sugar. She does put vanilla essence in it too. I feel it's the essence that make the difference. Danny's eyes zoomed in on Tanti in her long white dress, greeting people in the front yard. He couldn't figure out why 3 other ladies chose to wear the same type of white dress as his aunt. Follow fashion. The boys finished eating in silence, and Elisha unhooked the top button of his pants. Whoa, Isha, your belly get big, we? Daniel exclaimed. Elisha smiled wryly. All the boys were exhausted. Daniel felt he had eaten too much. He tried not to think about going to the latrine tonight. He imagined himself walking between the plum trees in the dark with a lantern and meeting rats and bugs in the outhouse. Besides, a big serpent lurked on that side of the house, and some big frogs usually come out at night. The last thing he wanted to do was to step on a giant crapo. He decided he would hit the pit before the sun set. Otherwise, he would wait until the next day. Daniel suddenly leapt up from his seat on the ground. Elisha jumped up as well. Hands by Tiowa. He brushed his bottom with the back of his hand. That is the tune, Dread, Daniel yelled as Ras cassette mix started a new song. Men and women around the yard who were seated stood up to rock, skank, and step to the infectious bass line of the reggae rhythm. Police don't tears, them the street. Oh yeah. A chorus of voices rang out. Men and boys even tried to imitate the high-pitched voice of the male vocalist. A brisk breeze carried the music around the village, and even as far away as Cherry Hill to the southeast. Ras, you have the place locked down with that music. Bamboo complimented the DJ. After the popular reggae song faded, Ras inserted a soca tape and let it play for 10 minutes. Even the senior ladies got up to shake their behinds to Lord Kitchener's Sugar Boom Boom. A string band took over the entertainment, and the merry atmosphere in the village went up a notch as 2 guitars, a banjo and a violin called out to every home in Bogles and surrounding communities to dispatch its occupants to the Peter's yard. Daniel and Elijah moved closer to the action. Elisha disappeared inside the house. Jack, look, we cousin playing banjo. Daniel pointed out the tall man with the afro. Godwin on a high boy. With eyes closed, Gordon rotated his head swiftly in time with the fast breakaway rhythm that his band strummed. The wind had picked up now, and Masanto and ordinary lanterns across the yard cast eerie dancing shadows in the dusk. Everybody in the yard was transformed into a dancing machine. That is the best banjo man in Caribou, Elijah stated. Listen to that banjo talk now. Several minutes later, drums replaced the stringed instrument, and the crowd rearranged itself to form a circle, facing inwards. Tantan, Con Cheryl, and 2 other Bogles elders danced to the center of the ring with bottles. They going and wet the ground again, Daniel said confidently. Popeye, you're getting to know the thing, Elijah said, grinning. The foursome poured rum and water alternately on the ground, uttering words that Daniel still couldn't understand. He deduced that they were again calling out to the ancestors and spirits. Tanti and them come in and dance now, Elijah announced after the invocations. Tanti and 3 middle-aged women gamboled bare feet to the center of the yard to the slow beat of the drums. Daniel was surprised to see Elisha among the 3 drummers. His open palms struck the goatskin surface of his bass drum in perfect sync with the other bass drummer. Ruth and the other girl shook shak-shaks energetically to the established rhythm. Look sharply in the bula drum, man, Elijah said to his cousin. Sometimes I just play the cutter drum too. He pointed to the largest drum in the middle of the trio. Tanti looked even taller with her green and yellow head wrap. A multicolored winged skirt covered the bottom half of her dress. The floral pattern of the skirt reminded Daniel of the pink, red, and purple bougainvillea flowers around his house in Grenada. All 4 ladies wore matching costumes. Soon the intensity of the drumming increased. A few ladies standing behind the drummers clapped and chanted as the dancers stepped, skipped, and strutted for a few minutes in the ring. The choreographed dancing and rhythmic drumming hypnotized Daniel until he thought he was in a trance. One singer would throw out a line, then the others in the group would respond in a chorus. The language was unfamiliar to Daniel. He made a mental note to ask his mother if kayaks speak other languages besides English. Then Tanti was left alone to do a solo act. She took up a spot in front of Elisha, who pounded his drum while focusing on his mother's feet. The bass seemed to reach out on its own to move them. "Oh," Daniel exclaimed, "that's sick, boy." He nodded in approval, and his eyes bulged as they fixed on his aunt's feet, moving in perfect cadence to her son's drumming. Tanti flared her skirt as she skipped from right foot to left, revealing its shiny red inner fabric. At times, her upper body hung parallel to the ground before she would rock back upright to the boom of the bula. She shimmied and shook her hips and head in quick time to the drumming. A roar went up from the audience as a slim figure twirled 6 times while the drumming rose to a crescendo. She suddenly leapt in the air, then dropped to a crouched position in the center of the circle, her head bowed. The drums fell silent. The spectators erupted in cheers, applause, and whistles. "Kopai, this is the best big drum dancing I ever see," Daniel said, breathing heavily. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, she comes all the way from Italy. Dr. Sarah Florian, who holds a doctorate in modern philology at Sa Foscari University in Italy. And she also does a lot on Caribbean literature, and we'll be hearing a lot from her also tomorrow evening when her book is launched, her book that deals with the literature of Lassana Sekou. But tonight, I think she's going to read from something else. Dr. Sarah Florian.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much again for organizing this wonderful book fair and for giving me the opportunity to publish my work on Zana. After a few days of getting to know each other, many of you might still be wondering why would an Italian who lives in Asia be interested in studying and writing about a Caribbean author? Or at least many people in Singapore did ask me this: why the Caribbean? And where is the Caribbean? One told me, the Caribbean? Are you going to Fiji? Another one wondered, is it a place of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? Yes, it's pretty much that place. Many people have no idea where the Caribbean is, and I'm amazed at this lack of knowledge. But again, when I'm back in Italy and they ask me, where do you live? I say, in Singapore. And many people say, oh, right, in China. No, Singapore is not China, and it's not in China. It is an independent republic since 1965. It gained its independence from Malaysia, which cut off the little appendage of the Malay Peninsula that we are, but mainly thanks to a courageous and stern political leader named Lee Kuan Yew. Singapore now flourishes as one of the alpha cities of the world, one of the most technologically advanced, clean and fine cities in the world, because there's a lot of fines. In 1999, the main question Lazana asked in his Big Up St. Martin and the Cabs Are in the Field was, quote, given the status of our modern nation, could it be a singular issue more important than to pledge one's humble self to work, study, build for and prosper from the political independence, cultural dynamism, social and economic development, and eventual unification of St. Martin? End of quote. And to answer this question, I'd like to read a passage from Caribbean Counterpoint, The Aesthetics of Salt in the Zansaku. I will read a passage that I wrote on the Maroons as runaway slaves who escaped on the morn on the hills, or as Sekou says, the Ites, to flee from slavery, from the harshness of the plantation work of the habitation. Society can improve when everyone is aware that it needs to improve, and will thus adopt this urgency into their own selves. The betterment of the self is a prompt and an answer to the need for a change. When each individual feels a need to improve and then improves him or herself, then all society will be improved. In this way, society will feel free because it will be made up of enlightened individuals. These themes are pivotal for the spirit of freedom, hinging on the wish to escape, such as in the ancestral act of maroonage. Sekou reminds us that sometimes we must go back to grow or improve, embracing our origins, like the poet of war does. Sekou refers to himself with the POW, poet of war. After such a return, the poet becomes empowered with a consciousness that can call upon others to break free and become fed with nutrients of the self. Much work needs to be done to help those such as the scattered and disillusioned children of Africa all over the western places in the poem O Africa Land, suffering from the monetary enslavement they are shackled to. The idea that we can nourish our souls and minds so that oppressed or struggling people can survive and gain in strength returns again and again in Moot for Isis. In this collection, blood saturates many poems, giving them the aspect of old wounds that have not healed and are still bleeding. Wounds given by colonization and slavery, and by the hard and exploitative work in the fields, from the scattering of people all over the world against their will, or by the cut of the umbilical cord, which was torn at the moment of deportation. However, the amputation of the cord also occurs in a new birth, and in Sekou's Mood for Isis, we can hear, beyond desperation and the sense of the oppression in the historical past, hope and an impetus toward a new future, where a new identity will be created that can bring the old and the new together. This may be the new face of the USA, Africa, the Caribbean, a creolized, or in modern terms, a globalized image. The grains of the symbols that Sekou uses consistently in repeated re-elaborations in his work appear here. The woman, the land, freedom, the nourishment and pain of sweet and salty substances, youth, Africa, Rastafari, political independence, revolution, and improvement of the self are critical elements in his themes of love, labor, and liberation. They continuously fertilize his aesthetics of salt, emanating from the sea and the great salt pond. Thank you.
You can hear a lot more about her analysis of the works of Lassana Sekou tomorrow evening at the closing ceremony of the book fair. So I hope to see you there as well. Our next speaker is a writer of poetry, prose, and drama. Her poetry and prose have appeared in Interviewing the Caribbean and Poet Literary Journals. Weeks is a recipient of the Frank Collymore Literary Endowment Award for the memoir Volcano in 2006. And you heard a little tease from her last night as her book Nomad was launched. And I think she's gonna enrich us a little more this evening. Miss Weeks, Yvonne.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to this 17th anniversary of the St. Martin Book Fair. It's my first visit, and I have to tell you, I am having a wonderful time. I don't want to read the things I read last night, but I also want you to buy the book. So I don't want to give away too much, but in honor and respect to my friend and colleague Opal, who wrote me in London 3 years ago and asked me to write something, and I was like, oh what? So I don't have anything about that particular topic. And I ended up pushing myself. I'm going to read this because I very rarely read it aloud. It's called In the Dead of the Night, and was published by Opal in her Interviewing the Caribbean. heavy, but y'all are eating and drinking, so it'll ride over you eventually. One never forgets the stripped skin of a sister, the sudden screams of a neighbor, the suffocating silence of a friend, slaps of an all-dangerous hand, a throat cut, a skull crushed, love drowned. Faded fingerprints do not erase the phantoms, seeking to unremember nights of ritual terror. Evening threatens his arrival. Remove the dead cockroaches. Wash the dirty plates quickly. Curry smells enticing. Is it too hot or is it too mild? Is the rice too hard or is it too soft? Is the pumpkin too salt or is it too bland? Will her favorite goat's flesh remain simmering in the pot? Or will it be hers? Behind the curtain is a young girl, breath holding for uncle's shadow, pouncing into her glowing flesh. Her zippered tongue remembers chocolate promises, beautiful black dolls with locks bright, red shiny shoes, flesh tearing into clumps, a mother working, a moon mocking. She thinks, how much further can he go? This man who comes from kings, whose priest's father healed broken spirits, who came from shores glittered with seashells and anemones and purple flowers. How much lower can this man go? His dark eye holding Nobel laureates and prime ministers and fishermen and athletes. She imagines herself. She imagines, her blurred red lips now on his shirt, against the streetlight above the rubber trees. He throws her panties on the ground, eyes burning, burning, burning like raging towers. He walks away. She squints. Perhaps I won't wear perfume again. As her mind closes down tightly, remembering her mama. And where the moon did hiding his face, so he could not shine light upon these terrible things, this whimpering, this murderation, where he disappeared to when all this warring and fracas and all this bawling and gnashing of teeth was going on. Was he listening? Watching quietly? Was he waiting while the stinking prince of darkness was violating us in the drowning blackness? Was Peter waiting with his sword in the garden to cut off the man's ear or the man's penis or some other part of he that was just hurting we? Like cracking and crumpling my body like it's just old tracing paper. She thinks about her mother and her mama's anointing prayers. So my grandmother features a lot in my work, especially my recent work, as I remember how much I learned about womanhood from her and how much I ignored of her stories and how some of it I wish I had not ignored. So this is an extract from a much longer poem, and this is about her advice while Kwaku and Nancy is asleep. Mama tell diaspora that a worthless man is easy to spot. 1, look at him shoes. 2, look at him shoes again. 3, check whether he have house, car, children, and how many baby mother live close or far. 4. Check see if him got one gap in him teeth. Cause gap teeth mean pretty boy. And that mean him got other girls for meet. 5. Watch and see how him talk about him mother. How him just treat him mother. And 6. If him still live with him mother. For mind you, mark my words, remember, if him still live with him mother, you have to wait till him mother dead before him sleep one night under your roof. Never mind put ring on your finger. 7. Hold him hand at least once. And if them soft like Johnson baby oil, him don't like a piece of work. 8. When him laugh, check and see how much gold in him mouth. Cause if him don't have the same amount of gold in the bank, make him stay right there. Him surely no good without a doubt. 9. Check him shoes. 10. Check him shoes again. So by the time a girl learn to count to 10, she's sure to know a worthless man by then. Mama tell diaspora all of these things and more. Be careful, girl. Careful you don't pick and pick and pick until you pick. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you know how many men watching the shoes now? I was paying attention. Okay. Jeffrey Phillip has written 2 novels, Benjamin My Son and Garvey's Ghost. 5 poetry collections, it's a whole lot of them, I'm not going to name them. But what I think stands out about his work is that it is represented in nearly every anthology of Caribbean literature, and he is one of the few writers whose work has been published in the Oxford Book of Caribbean Short Stories, Oxford Book of Caribbean Verse. So we welcome Mr. Jeffrey Phillip.
Greetings. I'm going to read just one poem for you. It's called A Prayer for My Children. And it's not just a prayer for my children, but it's a prayer for our children. When you find yourself in a faraway land, surrounded by men, animals that mutter strange sounds, do not be afraid. Neither you, your parents, nor your ancestors have ever been alone. So trust the earth to bear you up. Follow the wind as it leads you through valleys clustered with trees heavy with fruit. Some that seem familiar enough to eat, but you still aren't sure they are the same as the ones you left on the other side of the river that you've now forgotten. Eat. Feast on the bounty. Feed the fire that burns away the knot in your stomach, sets ablaze the horizon. All that your eyes can see that has been promised to you since your cry pierced the morning air. Your parents bathed you with kisses, baptized you with caresses, swaddled you in care before you uttered your first words to the moon, sun, stars, wobbled your first steps into unknowing, all the while rising into your inheritance. And if you awaken under the branches of a cotton tree, cradled in its roots, Draw a circle around yourself and all those whom you love. Cross yourself 3 times before you step over the threshold. Welcome the ancestors, all the kindly spirits who have followed you, your parents, across many seas, oceans, and deserts. Entertain them with strong drink and soft food. Rice, yams, bananas, the ever-present rum, to bless the hands that have lifted you up and sanctified the place you call home. Thank you.
I now call on what we here at the book fair call the grandfather of the book fair. And he knows who he is, so watch how he will get up and we won't even mention his name. But what I want to tell you about his work that stands out for us here in St. Martin is that 2 of his books at least, Le Dernier Matin et Marie la Gracieuse and Débris de Silence are taught in schools in Guadeloupe and St. Martin. And I think that's good for us to know that some of the works that are published right here in the Caribbean are being taught in the schools, especially in the French system in St. Martin. So, Papa Wipon, he didn't hear me. I don't think he did. Where is he? Oh, yeah, here. All right.
Okay, good evening to everybody. Okay, right. Okay. I try to be modern. This too. I got it, so I use it. I want to talk to the women. Voici venu le temps où, sans pudeur ni réserve, je vous dis tout. Tout ce que vous êtes devenus pour moi à mesure que passe le temps. Le voici venu ce temps, au seul témoin du temps qui s'en va fluide le long des ravines. Je laisse couler libre le flot de mon cœur. Mes douleurs contenues entravent ma voix. Valves ouvertes, voiles affalées au pied des récifs, m'a déludé aux portes des radeaux prospères. Que ne puis-je vous dire? Que ne puis-je suspendre le temps, prendre à la nuit qui se dérobe les heures qui manquent au jour, pour mieux songer à vous? Voilà déjà s'effilent au champ les nuages complices, emportant les arpèges d'un silence qui fut nous. Ouvrez vos yeux, mon amour. Laissez-moi seul. Moi seul, il est droit de vous prendre et avoir l'usage de vous. Restez là. Ne dites rien qui puisse nous amener à nous nuire. Souriez-moi seulement, simplement, oui, comme ça. Et laissez-moi poser sur vos lèvres moussues de désir un tremblant « Je vous aime tant ». Et puis les femmes, j'ai pensé à l'âge des femmes. Jeunes, elles ne comptent pas leur âge, même si elles jouent à faire davantage, puis elles n'ont pas encore l'âge. Enfin, elles ont déjà l'âge et jouent avec leur âge. Et même quand l'âge est venu et l'âge sur le retour, elles ne font pas leur âge. Parfois, elles ont passé l'âge. Elles vivent alors sans âge. Enfin, le temps passant, les femmes courent toujours après leur âge. Et puis, je vous quitte demain, je pense, pour aller à Marie-Galante, et je pense déjà à cela. Pour à cet instant où je dis, encore reconnaître vos pays en moins, toujours là qu'à dodo qu'on offre ici de l'eau. travailler la capin pour ensuite farine France. Mes 3 gilets, mes grands temps, mes derrière fort plein d'embrouillés, pour que Dieu en son sang qui, quand tu étais dans la courant, le vent, quand vous sous son ciel, mais c'est le vent ouvert. Quand on fait pays là, mes petits taos, quand des beaux pieds à eau, et merci beaucoup, bonne soirée.
Our next reader is the director of the Institute for Gender and Development Studies at the University of the West Indies. And Opal Palmer Adisa has lectured and read her work throughout the US, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Germany, England, and the city of Prague, and has performed in Italy and Bosnia. So a lot of women, a lot of performing. An award-winning poet and prose, writer Adisa has over 16 titles to her credit, including her award-winning It Begins with Tears. People, help me welcome Ms. Palmer Adisa.
Hello everyone. I'm going to try and see, okay? Okay, let's see here. Thank you. I don't know why it is that I often never read from the beginning of a story, and I think today I just will. It's Love Bush. The flame of love rode around with her throughout her adolescent years and lingered in her early adult body. In a hula hoop she twirled and kept balance above her waist until it danced up her neck and her fingers grasped it ever so tenderly. The first time she saw him, she was 14, and he was playing the lead in a musical at the Little Theatre on the same bill as her dance company. His presence so distracted her that during her dance routine she fell, and another dancer almost stumbled over her. Although she managed to spring up and get back in step, embarrassment burned in her pungent as stinking dough. He never spoke to her, but he always smiled, warm and enchanting as yellow hibiscus. She observed that he chatted with some of the older dancers closer to his age who flirted shamelessly with him. She hated being 14. You might have a woman's body, but you're still a child, was her mother's daily reminder. She was tempted to ask him to be her beau, though she was not yet allowed to have a boyfriend and he was reportedly 20 years old. He was the color of cane juice, with high brown eyes and nappy brownish hair that always seemed to need a comb raked through it. Tall and lanky, a smile caused her to smile too, foolishly, and a wobbly feeling shimmered up and down her body. Throughout the 3-week rehearsal, she stole every opportunity she could to regard him, watching his every move. Her obsession more than once caused her to miss cues, unleashing the wrath of Miss Nance, the dance teacher, who took tremendous pleasure in berating them for their poor posture, their sloppy executions of the steps, their distractedness, and their general lack of grace. Miss Nance shouted and pointed at her. You, of all people, should have the audacity to be late and miss cues. Do you know why you're in this production? Do you? Because you've been with the company for over 6 years and I feel obligated to cast you. I don't think you have what it takes to ever be a professional dancer. She would have walked out, but to do so would have to chance being punished by her mother for impertinence. So she had to suffer through Mrs. Nance's tirade and suck in her tears until the end of the routine. Then she ran, exiting the theater half blinded by tears and exhausted from holding her breath for so long. Why did adults have to go on and on like that, constantly pointed out what you did wrong? She would never be like that when she became an adult. Shoving the door open and being stabbed by the bright sunlight, she crashed into him, spilling his soda and causing him to let out a curse as he looked quizzically over his shoulder at her running away. Doubly mortified, she kept running to find a tree or a car in the parking lot behind which she could hide. If only she was 18 or 17 or even 16, the age at which she would be allowed to have a boyfriend, she would approach him boldly. But if she were that age, she wouldn't have to approach him. He would see her. He would definitely see her. He would pursue her, chase her down the way she overheard her mother telling Miss Dorothy that her father had done, chasing down her mother until she agreed to marry him. If she were 16, she imagined dreamedly Hansford would pursue her relentlessly. She looked up in alarm to see that he had followed her, crept quietly to where she squatted between two cars, doubly embarrassed by both being singled out by Mrs. Nance and then gracelessly colliding with him. Her chest heaved and she erupted into fresh sobs, the tears flowing like the river spilling over Flatbridge as she replayed both humiliations in her mind. She felt a hand on her shoulder, warm, light, tingling, and she turned to see him, offering his handkerchief. Don't take it so personally. Teachers love to make their best students feel like dirt. Man, you're good, he said, bending slightly down towards her. Squinting into the sun, tears on her cheeks, she looked up at this kind prince before her. She was shocked by his praise. To awaken herself from what she was sure was a dream, she shook her head. Her lips parted, but her tongue would not move. And at that instant, she became conscious of the snot dripping from her nose. Another wave of humiliation washed over her, and she abruptly turned away. But she reached back and took the hanky. She needed it. She blew her nose several times and finally turned to thank him. To her astonishment, he was gone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good ending. Alfred James is an author and spoken word artist. He is the co-founder of The Spilling Ink, an organization that promotes the arts and artists in Antigua and Barbados. Help me welcome Alfred James.
Good night. Disseminated brain matter splatters all over this page in crimson ink. And while I think, my fingers let it be, creating fragments of a world that exists inside of me. But my journey doesn't stop with the punctuated ink blots, because my imagination has wings and it's gonna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I wanna fly over the mountains, over the seas, on this poetic spirit that carries me. Ever persistent in this instant, to be felt and not resisted. Words provides existence. Pen and paper provides assistance. But as I travel the depths of the chasms, I've realized that this soul hasn't tasted the bliss in reality's kiss, thinking that this mirage called life is the only version there is. So now I'm stuck in a sandbox with no one to play with. Pen and paper became the only way I could relate these temporary moments, leaving permanent scars. Relentlessly picking at the scabs, hoping that you will still appreciate me as I articulate my words of my joy and my pain. So when you see me walking down the street, you will never forget my name. My name is no more important than these words I'm trying to give life to. My name It's just another tool used to give sight to the blind to help traverse my mind. My name is plastered across every lyric, intertwined in every line. My name. My name is that of every other hungry artist. And just like Erykah Badu, peace and blessings manifest with every lesson learned. I'm sensitive about my shit. Thank you.
See, we have a potpourri of everything this evening. Our next reader is actually a different genres, but he's the author and owner of the McBride collection of stories. His mission, and I'm quoting here, his mission is to provide diverse children's books that educate and entertain all readers. His works have featured in a number of places, including the LA Times, USA Today, the Bleacher Report, and a host of other places. So help me welcome Hedrick McBride.
Appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. I'm blessed to be here. Came all the way from Queens, New York. Had family in St. Martin. Children's book author, publisher, had no idea about the St. Martin Book Fair. Heard about it. Harassed Lasana and Shuja. Sent them everything I was doing in New York, everything I was doing all over the country. And they finally accepted. They brought me here in 2016. Life-changing experience. I worked in schools on the Dutch side, on the French side. Had no idea. I brought books. I thought I was fancy. I thought I was doing something special. And some of the kids was like, I can't read that. I don't read English. I read French. So it was like, you know, I have work to do. But the kids love the books. They love the images because I believe in representation. So as a first-time parent, I read books to my daughter every night, and we ran out of material. We ran out of books with children that look like her, characters that look like me, told our stories. Halloween, there's only 2 black characters for her, Princess and the Frog and Doc McStuffins. She wanted a Frozen Halloween costume. So I said, no. What we gonna do, we gonna create our own characters. So 7 years later, we have 85 books published, all focused on diversity. And even though I was creating my mission in the United States, when I came here, I said, you know what? These books were not even written for you. They were written for African American kids. So I came here this year, I made a promise. I would present a book to St. Martin, for the children of St. Martin, and I did that. St. Martin Strong, in English and French. And we're celebrating the resilience, you know, after Hurricane Irma, devastating times. We celebrate our adults and the government for recovering, but what about our kids? Because they being displaced from their homes, from their schools, meeting new friends. So I had to just celebrate them. But enough about that. I came here just to tell you what my mission is, and everybody here has a common purpose and common goals. So this little poem that I wrote is called Revolution, and I wrote this 8 years ago before I published one book, because you always have to have a mission statement. Why are you doing what you do? What is your purpose? What is your mission? So I had a revolution. This was my goal. And I'm almost there. I feel like I'm like 70% of what I wrote 8 years ago. So I hope you enjoy. It's called Revolution. We are starting a revolution to give the world a positive change. We will nurture, shape, and build our babies' brains. Parents and educators must be on the same page. We will both be accountable for our children's grades. We will teach them the fundamentals in life, all of the basics. We will locate the source of negativity and erase it. They will learn that they are free, that they have no limits. They will demand respect and know how to give it. They will learn about families and how they stick together. They will build friendships that last forever. They will learn love and honesty and learn about giving. They will learn diet, exercise, and healthy living. They will learn about animals, shapes, and colors. They will never need to feel inferior to others. They will want to see new places and travel the world. They will start their own business, whether they are a boy or a girl. They will not have to yell because they carefully use their words. They will master the use of nouns, adjectives, and verbs. They will know the difference between right and wrong. They will feel comfortable dancing or singing a song. They will know the value of hard work, how to plan and save. They will stand up to negativity and be brave. They will be happy for others when they succeed. They will know that they all have the ability to lead. They will work day and night to make the world a positive place. They will know we are all the same regardless of religion or race. To make the world a better place, there's only one solution: to empower our babies and start a revolution. Thank you.
You guys clapping like you're sleeping. Come on, do better than that. Chika Unigwe is a Nigerian writer who lives in Belgium and who writes in English and Dutch. With her stories written in English, she won the BBC Short Story Award in 2003, the Commonwealth Short Story Award in 2004, and was nominated for the Kane Prize, the African Booker Prize. And she made her debut as a novelist in 2005 with The Phoenix. What's really impressive about her work in general, at least from my perspective, is her work about trafficking and prostitution of women in Antwerp. So I don't know what she's gonna read from, but we welcome her. It's not gonna be bad.
Thank you, good evening. I haven't lived in Belgium for 6 years now. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
I'm going to read from a collection that's coming out in September. And the title of the collection is Better Never Than Late. And I'm going to read an extract from a short story called The Transfiguration of Rappo. The new man was tall and lanky, his stomach not spilling over his trousers like those of the other men who gathered at Prosperous and Aggles. Yet, despite that, he moved in such a way that put Prosperous in mind of an overfed, pampered cat. He had a fashionable haircut and a thin strip of beard in the middle of his chin. This was a man for whom life in Europe had not been hard. Prosperous envied in that, a life untouched still by hardness, soft like a baby's buttocks, like the life she had lived before. My beautiful wife Rappo, he said. A small woman suddenly appeared from behind him. She sat down on the edge of the sofa as if she were ready to flee at the slightest sound. When Prosperous asked if she wanted a drink, she nodded but did not specify what. Not even when Prosperous asked, mineral or juice. She held the glass of juice Prosperous gave her with both hands, as if holding it down to keep it from flying away. She was new, but not in the same way the man Guachi was. She was new to Europe. He was just new to Belgium and to the group that met regularly at Aggles to drink and talk, dissecting their lives and sharing their nostalgia for a country they swore they could not wait to live in again once the money was made and they could retire and live in the mansions they were going to build in Lagos, Abuja, Enugu, Onitsha, Jos, whichever city in Nigeria their deferred lives still inhabited. The new man had moved from Germany a few months ago, Agu told Prosperous, the first time Guachi visited with his paper wife, his German wife, Hilda. The wife Guachi had with him now though, and whom he brought most times he came afterwards, was Igbo, like everyone else in the flat. Rapo did not live with him. She lived with a Nigerian man called Shylock. Nobody seemed to know what his real name was. He'd earned his nickname for the exorbitant fees he charged for whatever service he provided, even to his fellow Igbo. Shylock drove an Audi, had a gold tooth, and always wore a beret and dark Ray-Bans. In the winter, he wore a long black leather jacket with a furry trim on the hood. At Christmas, he threw lavish parties where the signature dish was chicken Shylock, a succulent affair that exploded in a multitude of flavors in the mouth, sour and sweet, spicy and soothing mint. No matter how much anyone begged for the recipe, he refused to give up its secret. It was said that he threw even bigger parties in his village at Easter, where he gave out bags of rice and tins of palm oil to widows. Guachi complained that Shylock was charging him too much, 20,000 euros, and we're from the same village. He lost money too much. When am I going to pay all that off? You make it sound like you're paying off a car, Prosperous said, irritated. Shylock is expensive, but he never dips into a pot of soup that is not his, Adi said. Remember the story about the Ogwashi man? What happened to the Ogwashi man, Rapo asked. The Ogwashi man had been paid a huge amount to marry a certain Ogwashi woman whose husband was already in the country, but who couldn't bring her in because he was legally married to a Belgian woman. The man, very much like Guachi, missed his real wife so much he didn't want to wait until he got his papers and divorced his white wife to bring her in himself. But the Ogwashi man not only took the money, he also took the wife. No one in Ago and Prosperous's circle of friends knew who the Ogwashi man was, but his story had become an anecdote, told and retold in their circle to warn each other of the covetous nature of human beings. Shylock, whatever else he might be, had an untarnished reputation for honesty and professionalism. If he said he would sell you his mother, he would, was how he was described. He was also a man with lots of connections. No one knew the exact nature of those connections, not even his village man Guachi, but they were said to be expansive and useful. He was the sort of middleman you wanted if you were after an arranged marriage. He would know whom you could trust. As it turned out, when Guachi asked if he could recommend someone to marry Rapo, Shylock said he would do one better. So, Guachi paid him to go to Nigeria and marry Rapo in court. He even charged me for the suit he wore for the ceremony Guachi complained to Agua and Prosperous. He went to Shylock's every evening after work to see Rapo briefly. On Sunday afternoons or evenings, he made excuses to his paper wife Hilda and went to see Rapo. It was only then that he took Rapo out like a proper husband and then went and visited his friends or drove down to Antwerp where they checked into cheap hotels and kept an eye on the clock while they made love. It would not do to make Hilda suspicious. How long still? Rapo asked every night when he dropped her off at Shylock's. Not long now, came the standard reply. Thank you.
We're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Stop clapping like you're tired. Thank you. Kai Miller is an award-winning Jamaican poet, fiction writer, essayist, and blogger. He was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. He read English at the University of the West Indies, but dropped out short of graduation. However, while studying there, he befriended the poet and professor Mervyn Morris, who encouraged his writing. And after that, he ended up at the St. Martin Book Fair.
Hello. Hi, everyone. You alright? Why you have to tell the part about me dropping out? I have a PhD now, alright? So I try to let that slide. Alright, I'll read 2 poems from a new collection that's about to come out in August. It's called in nearby bushes. And that phrase means a lot in Jamaica. You see, the bodies are always found in nearby bushes. The rape always occurs in nearby bushes. Thieves always escape to nearby bushes, and it's this kind of dangerous place. So I'll read 2 poems from that collection. And the first is just trying to invoke that place. There are lots of weird words in it. It's just about plant life in the nearby bushes. Here where blossoms the night. Here where blossoms the orchids, 220 in variety. Some have adapted to bone dry places, to being purple amongst the stone. Here where blossoms Jamaican ladies of the night, I mean the flowers, their petals, the color of weddings, their perfume, the scent of parlors. There is much that blossoms in these bushes and much that rots. Like Jamaican ladies of the night, I no longer mean the flowers. Here where grows the hog apple, the hog money. Here where wild hogs rot at the roots of things. The trees sometimes are grunting. Here where you can find the tuna. Here the monkey's hand, the cow's tongue. Such things seem not to belong to bushes, but they are as much a part as the bullock's heart, the dog's tail, as much a part as the broken bottles and burnt cars. Is that the right way to say it? Especially here, should I have said the heap a broke bottle and the plenty bun up car? Here that cannot be held by the small arms of English. Here that cannot be held by the English, but how they tried. Here is where they found Nanny, or where Nanny found them, where you can still find her if you believe in Kumina, the never dead of spirits. Nanny, do you know her story, her peculiar ability to catch bullets and wear? Some say she could even shoot them back, but I think this was just a metaphor for the magnificent stink of her farts, that coming across a white man, she could just lift up her frock tail and clear the bush of English. Here, and just clear the bush of English. Here, where is the inscrutability, the wild and passionate uproar? Here, where is the horror? Here, where you might find the war. Here, where blossoms the knife. Here, where blossoms the blade. Here, where glistens the blood. The wild mint grows here, and the wild pawpaw, and the wild sage, and the wild Caesar obia. So much wildness can be found here, where creeps the cerasee, the love bush that strangles trees. Here where shines the raw moon being folk etymology, original word Ramoon. Here where you will find the much improved names of things, the slow greening and rooting of Latin. Semen contra becomes semi-contract, semper vivum becomes simple Bible, becomes single Bible. Let the trees say amen. Here where blossoms the ginger. Here where blossoms the danger. Here where you must pray against the loud bark of cedar. Seek God in the orchids. Ask help of archangels, though here archangels are only flowers, their petals, the color of weddings, their perfume, the scent of parlors, by which I mean the heavily powdered dead, this landscape like a wreath laid against itself. Here where blossoms the natto. Here where blossoms the nettle. Here where blossoms the night. And I'll read just one more, and this is a strange poem. So I have this friend in England, her name is Lizzie. She's the queen. No, she's not really my friend. But a couple years ago, there was this display at Buckingham Palace. She put out all her gold on display, and the Poetry Society decided to ask a poet to write a poem in dedication of this display of gold, and they asked me. Which is stupid, right? I mean, Like, you know what you're gonna get. But genuinely, I did not know this poem was as political as it was until I read it at Buckingham Palace. And I saw people started to tweet, I can't believe Kai Miller read that in front of the Queen. So, but I have this series of poems about place names in Jamaica, and this just goes back to me being fascinated about names in the Caribbean and the stories behind those names. So place name Orocabessa. Place name Orocabessa. Origins disputed, but most likely leave over from the Spanish Oracabeza, golden head. Though what gold was here other than light glinting off the bay, other than bananas bursting out from red flowers, though this too is disputed, not the flowers, but the origin of bananas. They may have come here with Columbus on a ship which in 1502 slipped into Orocabessa the way grief sometimes slips into a room. In those days, the sailor tried to name the island Santiago, as if not knowing we already had a name. As if not knowing we already had a name in another language, a language whose speakers would soon all die. Though this too is disputed, not the deaths, but the completeness of genocide. For consider, if you will, such leave-over words as hurricane, and consider barbecue. Consider Jamaica, land of wood and water, but not of gold. Could someone please go back in time and tell Columbus in Taino there is no word for gold? Christopher Columbus, in Italiano Cristoforo Colombo, in Espanol Cristobal Colon. A teacher once told me colon is a root word for colonist, and though I know that was false etymology, there is some truth to it. Orocabessa, at which place you might find such tranquil villas as Golden Ridge, Golden Cloud, Golden Eye, long-time home of Ian Fleming, who sat there on cliff's edge, the morning's breakfast brought to him by a woman named Doris, the scent of ackee and crisp fried breadfruit wafting up to his nostrils, while between his teeth he bit a No. 2 pencil, all the while looking out to sea as if fishing for a story, maybe a man, an incredible man, let's call him Bond. James Bond, who knew 007 wasn't actually Scottish, but a barefoot boy from St. Mary, Jamaica. Like so many others, he too migrated, the brutish winter cooling his complexion down to white. Such stories, golden finger, golden eye, the man with the golden gun. Did you never stop to wonder where all this gold came from? Did you never stop to ask, what was found in El Dorado? Well, let me tell you, not a nugget, not an ounce of ore, but light, gilding the bay, and perhaps bananas, and perhaps ackee, and such language as could summon wind to capsize Columbus's ships. And if that's not gold, then what is?
As my students would say, talk the thing. Yeah. I see you wake up. Yes. Moving along. I'm not even going to read this thing. She was born right here in St. Martin. She has 2 books that are published by House of Nahesi, Rainy Season and Skin. She has left us kinda. She doesn't really left, she comes and goes. But we're really proud of her and the work that she's doing up there, helping out the Americans. And she's known now for her multi-medium work of art. And I'm just happy that she's here for the book fair this year. So help me welcome one of my heroes, Miss Visana Debbie Jack.
So I'm just going to read a couple poems and then we'll
Just 2 poems, short ones. It's good to be home. The edges sing our songs. We know the edges of this land, woven to water by sand, rock, and mangrove roots, shoring together the ebb and flow of tides, keeping time with our breath. The footprint of Caribs etched the sides of hills, marking their place, their present, our history. Looked at you, saw women and saw, named you after both. One to soothe, one to suck, one to heal, one to season. Looked up from lagoons and great ponds and saw seeking ships, seeking the east and westward passages, finding our center. Only the land knows what was lost. The blood, the bones, the entrails, the umbilical, the names etched on roots, deep and true. The harvest will not be simple. And then I'm just gonna read. So this poem is called Mother Lines or Breastfeeding the Diaspora. I just like reading it. So. The presence of love is greater than the absence of the body, I believe. The mothers I have known in fragile memories have known love, have known loss, have known me, and now know you. This bond is a cycle, a circle not understood by passers-by. First there is mom, mother of my mother's mother, who outlived one daughter's life and another's sanity. She too comes from mothers who have had to cut their children loose, give them up to the care of unnatural mothers. And although there was outer distance, there was always an inner line. So I named you Blue, the deepest blue, my deepest blues, and like you, I knew my mother's mother first. Oma, I called her, my grandmother, tall, imposing, wise eyes that reached deep and expected much. I learned lessons I didn't know I was being taught, that manners was not meekness, that there was strength in a smile, that there was healing in the tears of women and in the laughter of our men. She died when I was 4. At her funeral, they passed me over her open grave. According to the old ways, it meant I was a favored one. My first memories of my mother were born on that day. In my deepest blues, I wonder, will you know of the mothers in our line that gave their children to other mothers? Mothers who know about the presence of love over the absence of the body? Or will you be the sullen girl I was, hardly smiling, not unhappy, just blue, deep blue, like indigo. Blue water, blue movement, blue tears, blue screams, dreams of tidal blue washing over me, washing through me, leaving me only the echo of your name. The economy of letters, ripe, bursting with meaning, indigo child, a deeper shade of blue, a deeper shade of blues. Now there is Mama, my mother, your mother's mother, who's had to give me up twice, her only woman child, the moody girl with old eyes, who prefers the memories of love, who knows about the presence of love and the absence of the spirit. The sullen girl whose love is unconditional, unyielding, a relentless thing, whose cycle is a circle not understood by passers-by. And when we too remain within the cycle that is our circle, that is our line of mothers, I will let you go again, as it has always been, and you must let me go as it must be. And I will teach you that the presence of our love is stronger than the absence of my body. It is our bond, that is a cycle, a circle not understood by passers-by. So apparently since I'm the last person, and I have the great pleasure to introduce the poet, the lady of the hour of the evening, Tamara Groeneveldt. Tamara Groeneveldt was born in St. Martin in 1984. She grew up in the traditional fishing village of Grand Cause as it was rapidly evolving into a virtual international cuisine capital of the Caribbean. Groeneveldt holds a master's degree in social work from Florida A&M University. In 2012, Groeneveldt read at the Poetry read at the Green Light and Social Crack Slam in St. Martin. She has recited poetry for official St. Martin Day programs and other cultural presentations attended by the island's officials and the visiting King and Queen of the Netherlands, at the 10,000 Men March for St. Martin, and at For a World Without Walls in 2019. Groeneveldt coordinates Under the Gazebo, the poetry open mic for the St. Martin Book Fair, and recited at the festival's International Literary Evening in 2018. The poetry of the former award-winning president of the Swaliga Corporate Toastmasters Club were first published in Where I See the Sun, Contemporary Poetry in St. Martin in 2013. After the Storm is the first book by Tamara Groeneveldt, and I'd like to welcome her to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be short and sweet. I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that came out. This is really, really special. I am definitely overwhelmed by the outpour of love and support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everything that I do it for St. Martin. Who I am, what I plan to be, what I want to be, all my heart's desires is for St. Martin. Hence I dedicated After the Storm to my sweet, sweet St. Martin land. This is for you. So I'll get right into it. And the first piece I'm going to do is Love, Peace, and Hair Grease. Because everybody know how I like to change up my hair, you know, from ever so often. So it goes like this. Oh, how I love my hair. The one with the tightly coiled curl that can handle the wear and tear. The one when I comb it, a few strands might move, but for the most part, it stays right there. With the wind or the rain, it'll even stay right there. I can curl it, twirl it, twist it, blow it out, or let it stand loud and proud. An afro boldly facing the universe. I can rock bantu knots, puffs, guinea, braids, and even the beautiful sister locks. I've been natural since the womb, pushed it out, greased it, and broke a few combs that were definitely not fit to comb it. Castor oil, coconut oil, sulfur 8, and Dax were products that were all too familiar. I use a big teeth comb or afro pick with conditioner to clear it out in the shower. I've had my sister plait it on Sundays to prepare me for school. Hollered and screamed because it was braided too tight. But when it was done, it looked just right. I accessorized it with ribbons, rubber bands, and clips, bubbles, scrunchies, colorful and wooden beads with the foil paper on the tips. I've been called many things because I let my hair show. Names from crazy to picky head, and the looks from smirks to don't she know that the 70s is over and there? But they don't know what I know. It's part of my identity, who I am, my self-confidence, growing. And I can never be ashamed of this hair that has always been a part of me. When it was time for graduation to high school, my mother sent me to the Spanish hairdresser around the corner to prepare me for the special occasion. I could tell that she was a little confused, like she wasn't regularly faced with a big head of my hair kind of situation. after unhappily trying different styles, she resorted to the flat iron and tamed the hair that in her culture is considered even more of a sign of damnation. I quickly realized that this straight stuff was definitely not for me. While everyone thought that I looked so pretty. So a few days later after graduation, I went and ducked it in the Grand Car seat. And when I came up for air, once again, I was naturally me. Now this one, I know St. Martin's culture is a very popular one, so I'm going to get the crowd to participate. So when I say, I don't know about you, you say, but I know about me. So let me practice it. I don't know about you. But I know about me. Okay, let me do one more time for those who didn't get it. I don't know about you. But I know about me. Okay, so I don't know about you. But I know about me. I am sick and tired of hearing that St. Martin doesn't have a culture. I know that if everyone knew what I eat, live, and breathe on my island, they would snatch it up like a vulture. I don't know about you, but I know about me. When I walk down the road, I see history. And when I look in the mirror, I see destiny. Fought for by my ancestors and inherited by me. The same ancestors that crossed the borders to brim, shoot, and Panam for emancipation. I don't know about you, but I know about me. You see, when I wake up in the morning, I drink stinking weed coffee or bush tea. And when I talk to my very, very dear aunt, she pronounces her W's like V's and her V's like W's. On Wednesdays, when she's a window down in the market. And I say things like, we is we. I don't know about you, but I know about me. I still jump off the wharf in grand cars. And I know about the salt mills and the salt ponds. I know you're supposed to drink lemongrass to cut a fever. And I know why the pond runs into the sea and how to bait a hook to catch a fish to feed me. I've seen the making of a fish pot and I cool out under a tamarind tree when the sun gets a little too hot. I don't know about you, but I know about me. Every Saturday, I eat fish and fungi. And when I eat food, I like to wash it down with lime juice, passion fruit juice, tamarind juice, or mabi. And when I tell a story, I say it with a passion. Just ask Umpu, Ruby Butte, Tantalize, Tanti Babali, and of course, my mommy, to tell you about Miss Pam's soul foot and how you don't see the fall bottom until the wind blows. I don't know about you. I don't just eat chicken leg and Johnny cakes. I've had food prepared on a cold pot. Roast corn, dumplings, kalu soup, pigtail soup, stew goat meat sauce, shellfish, fried jack, snow cream, arrowroot, stew gooseberries, local cherries. I say I don't know about you. I love my history, culture, traditions, the people, how we speak, and everything that makes me, me. last but definitely not least of the poems that I'm going to recite tonight. If you want it, the books will be right over there, selling to the back. After the Storm, which is the name of my poem. This poem came about, of course, after the dreadful storm that we had almost 2 years ago. After the storm, here, it's the norm to come together and greet each other with charm. How are you, neighbor? You check on the elderly and help our fellow man, sister, the children, and the community. You see, this is our St. Martin identity. One island, one people, one destiny. But after the storm, it was like someone detonated a bomb. And instead of faced with charm, we triggered, disarmed, took too long to sound the alarm. And the same ones who came to our rescue, we appreciated you until we see that some are you looting too. And another set tried, and they tried, and they trying to take over our borders and chambers, creating laws to take our homes, the homes that we self have owned, and they're still coming up with more laws to remove us from living on the Grand Cars, Sandy Ground, all St. Martin shores. After the storm, we chanted, St. Martin will smile again, and St. Martin strong. But what is really going on? After the storm is another storm. Who owned this land? European versus St. Martin storm. We beat our chest and we proud to say, but this is where I born. But they don't really care when I say that I from here, because to the law over there, they are entitled to whatever St. Martin has to share. Our beaches, our lands, our businesses, government, and even our clean, fresh air. And we can no longer say that we are unaware when they smile in our faces thinking that we don't find it queer, that they ask specificity questions about how we live and do it here. But not there or south here, from Article 74 to 10, St. Martin people, we are running out of time to prepare. Bang! Whoosh! Hurl! St. Martin people, the storm is here! So organize without fear and grab your pens, brains, and brave hearts. The fight to keep what's ours already started.
She was practicing the dance. I don't know. And we got this. How did you like it? I ain't impressed. How did you like it? You're supposed to get better, you know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the official part of the program. Tammy's book is available, as she said, in the corner. Anyway, get your copy, but she'll be back here at the table signing. In the meantime, we bid you farewell on behalf of the Book Fair Committee and House of Nahesi and Conscious Lyrics Foundation. Please get a copy of the book for yourself, for your family members. Christmas is coming, so get your Christmas gift early. And if you buy 5, you might get a discount. I'm not so sure, but try. We're gonna see you tomorrow morning at the University of St. Martin very early. And if we don't see each other again, have a safe journey back home or wherever you're planning to go tonight. Be safe. Thank you for coming out.